Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers rumors: could Aaron Rodgers announce signing at Pat McAfee's Pittsburgh event, when then New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers embarked on a planned trip to Egypt during mandatory minicamp? Plenty of fans and pundits questioned his drive. That narrative will inevitably resurface if he begins his expected tenure with the Pittsburgh Steelers via a public spectacle. While nothing has been reported or announced, one NFL insider is floating a possible scenario that others have also considered. When discussing Rodgers' ongoing free agency saga, which is expected to end with him forming a union with the Steelers, Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer reminded readers that former All-Pro punter and current media personality Pat McAfee is having a special show in his hometown of Pittsburgh on Wednesday, April 9. If the Super Bowl 45 MVP were to announce his decision to join the Steelers on live television, he would somehow morph into an even more polarizing figure. Eyes would roll, at least one analyst would label him self-serving, and head coach Mike Tomlin would probably get asked about it multiple times. A public pledge to the black and gold in Pittsburgh could maybe have its charm from the fan base's perspective, but the optics would not be kind to Rodgers. Should Aaron Rodgers, Steelers try to fly under the radar? The 41-year-old has waited more than a month to sign with the team, so if he unveils his choice on the incredibly popular The Pat McAfee Show, the Rodgers is a narcissist narrative will balloon to new widths. Here's the thing, though. He does not care what others think. The four-time regular season MVP is determined to handle this matter on his terms, and public backlash is probably not going to sway him. Perhaps Aaron Rodgers would want to draw more eyeballs to McAfee, someone he regards as a friend. It could also be a fun experience for the community. Funnily enough, there is not much speculation regarding the longtime QB and Pittsburgh beyond when and where the marriage will officially be revealed. The NFL watching world anticipates that he will start under center for the Steelers next season. Rodgers already had a throwing session with newly acquired star wide receiver DK Metcalf. Furthermore, both parties are seemingly out of options. Pittsburgh is desperate to stay relevant in the present while it addresses its long-term quarterback situation, and the four-time first-team All-Pro was brushed off by his preferred free agency destination, the Minnesota Vikings. They need each other, and maybe, just maybe, the Steelers and Rodgers are in mutual agreement that Pat McAfee's platform would offer a nice opportunity to bring added focus to the city. But the reason is really irrelevant. If Rodgers commits to Pitt in PPG Paints Arena this Wednesday, expect bedlam to ensue. Alex House is a sports journalist who covers the NFL, NBA, and MLB for Clutch Points, providing a unique writing voice due to his in-depth knowledge of New York sports. Alex resides in Connecticut after receiving his journalism degree from the University of Rhode Island. Steelers Stock Watch: OT Calvin Anderson by Matthew Marksey posted on April 8, 2025 at 7 a.m. Player: OT Calvin Anderson stock value, up reasoning. It took a while, but the Steelers finally re-signed OT Calvin Anderson. Brought back on a 2-year deal, the figures are otherwise not yet disclosed. Based on the current roster, he profiles as the Steelers' swing tackle. There is still an opportunity for them to upgrade that swing tackle role, but for now, he is OT3. Our latest videos having recently turned 29 years old, Calvin Anderson has been around for a while. He began his career in 2019, though he has only 908 snaps under his belt since then. The Steelers signed him in late September, and he played all of 11 offensive snaps. Most of them were in garbage time in Week 6 against the Raiders. His most notable snap came in Week 8, checking in for one snap at left tackle in the red zone. He promptly gave up a sack. Anderson only lasted one more game before going down with an injury, the Steelers placing him on IR. He did return in time for the postseason, dressing but not playing. Though they barely saw him, the Steelers evidently saw enough to want him back. Or at least, they felt pressured to do something. Earlier this offseason, the Steelers lost Dan Moore Jr. in free agency, and Calvin Anderson was surely affordable. The depth at tackle quickly became perilously thin, practically down to Dylan Cook for depth. And Cook spent last season on the practice squad. Calvin Anderson isn't going to move the needle for most people, but it addresses one crucial need. The Steelers needed a swing tackle in a bad way this offseason. He might not be the ideal solution, but he is at least an option. Probably better than kicking Spencer Anderson out to tackle. Equally important, it helps fill a hole before the draft. The Steelers might feel less pressured to draft a tackle for depth now that they have Calvin Anderson. They might still want to add another tackle, but they could turn to veteran free agency after the draft. With the new league year underway and the Steelers turning their roster over, it's once again time to take stock. It took a while, but we finally saw some of that change the team talked about after the season ended. Certainly, the move to trade for WRDK Metcalf qualifies as a change, not to mention the accompanying contract. Recently released cornerback could end up with Steelers. Jarrett Bailey has been the deputy editor for Behind the Steel Curtain since 2023. He also serves as an NFL contributor for The Sporting News, and is the host of the Pump Fake podcast. He lives in Pittsburgh and is a lifelong Steelers fan. The Pittsburgh Steelers have addressed their need at cornerback this offseason pretty head-on. They signed former All-Pro and Super Bowl champion Darius Slay from the Philadelphia Eagles as well as former New York Jets cornerback Brandon Echols. This came after not pursuing Dante Jackson in free agency, as he left for the Los Angeles Chargers. The Steelers could be the team that brings in a recently released cornerback, though, to continue adding to their room. The Las Vegas Raiders released cornerback Jack Jones, who started 16 games for Las Vegas a season ago after not being able to find a trade partner. Because the Steelers' new secondary coach Gerald Alexander was with the Raiders a season ago, there are obvious connective tissues between the free agent and the Steelers. Jones was drafted by the New England Patriots in the 4th round of the 2022 NFL Draft. He was released in 2023 before getting picked up by the Raiders and performing well, returning 2 interceptions for touchdowns. Adding him to the room doesn't have any horrible outcomes on the surface, so don't be shocked if we see some murmurs about the Steelers being interested. Are you a fan? What do you think of Jack Jones's situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.